Jeff's not bad Jeff, though.
Spicy Jeff
Spicy Jeff
is spicy.
Spicy Jeff is necessary.
He's not. Is this the Batman speech?
Yeah, we need more spicy Jeffs. You're the spicy Jeff we deserve.
You're not
the spicy Jeff we need.
It's good though to be in your company today because honestly, like, misery loves company.
Amen.
And when you can find like some way to commiserate with each other and know that like, hey, we all have shitty weeks together.
Yeah. It happens.
It just takes the burden off.
It happened to me too. Like I remember there was one day. I think it might have been Tuesday. I think it might have been Tuesday that I was just like, oh wait a minute. Like, nobody else is having a good week. And I was like, but I was having a good week, everybody. And everybody else was like, Pat, no.
No.
Didn't you get the memo? We're having a bad week this week.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh.
Sorry you're the last one to know.
And I was just like, and then everybody, even Dom was like, nope.
No.
Bad week. And I was
Bad
like,
week for you.
all right.
Okay. All right. Wasn't part of my plan.
But I was having it. Okay.
But I wanted to have a good week.
I was having a good week.
It sounds like my kids when I'm like, hey, don't say it. Don't say it.
Yep.
I mean, say it one more time. I swear to God.
So actually, that's perfect. You a superstitious guy, Jeff?
I am not.
You are not. But
I am not
you did just have that. Don't say it. The kind of like.
Well, we also determined that like I don't wash my belt either for jiu-jitsu, and
right,
that has some superstition.
But he's not superstitious. He's just a filthy bastard.
Yeah.
No, but
I'm just dirty. I'm a dirty boy.
You have a very old soul, right?
Do I?
Yeah, I think
okay.
so. Like
okay.
you're
not the first person, or you're not the first person to say that to me.
That's from what I'm gathering from you from these hour-plus conversations we have every week that I cherish every week.
Every week,
because
Thank you,
I get to tear another layer off the Jeff onion.
Yeah, that's right.
Into that stinky center of knowledge.
I'm not the Jeff you want. I'm the Jeff you need.
So, but I love like the fact that I'm learning like like you're really proud of like your family history, culture, like
sure,
and like everything like that. You're very connected to the past.
Okay.
So do you think at any point in your life what was your most superstitious? You know what I mean? Like, do you ever have, because like people think you shouldn't cheers water. People think you shouldn't. Like stuff like that, even like weird things that like maybe you got from like your dad or something like that.
Yeah, interesting.
Because
so
your dad was probably he was a sailor, right?
He was a sailor.
Sailors are very superstitious people.
I never recognized him as being superstitious. If he did, he kept it to himself.
Right.
So I didn't.
But that's like
I didn't
old
know like
cool
this.
superstitious.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's like American superstitious.
Yeah.
Keep some bananas on the boat.
Is that a superstition?
Yeah, it's technically it has a meaning too. Like you can eat it to prevent scurvy.
Scurvy, right?
But it's like it's
as practical.
Yeah, like
use
nowadays, like it's good to have a banana on your boat.
It's. I always have a banana with me.
Hey-o.
All right. So, what was my most superstitious? That's really interesting. I think at some point in my mid-20s, I think that I really wanted to believe in ghosts.
Yeah. Okay.
And so the things that were aligned with, the superstitious, or the supernatural.
Yeah.
And my wife had pointed out like a very bizarre, contradiction in my belief systems, and I had to give it up because I was like, "You're right, this is bullshit."
Yeah. Well, you're like, "Oh yeah, I don't think I believe in ghosts at all."
Yeah, I don't. Right. In fact,
holy shit, I think ghosts are bullshit.
Yeah, I don't think any of this is real at all. Yeah,
yeah.
It's true, and it wasn't that she was telling me that I couldn't believe those things. She just pointed out a contradiction, which like I was like, "Oh yeah, that makes perfect sense."
Yeah.
So I said, but at my most superstitious, it would have been things like that, like in a supernatural sense.
Yeah.
So like it's like, oh yeah, well just be careful what you say, type of thing, or I don't know.
I would think, yeah. I think at the closest, and this isn't in a matter of like, I don't mean it as like a judgment, but like I would like pray about stuff,
okay,
like about things.
Yes.
But like I never, like it was the weirdest thing. I never necessarily did it to a god.
Okay.
Like I just thought that was one of those things of like almost
to
like
the
knock
universe.
on wood. Yeah, like one of those
oh,
things
knock
of,
on
like,
wood. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I still
Like-
do that. I
like
still
that
knock
stuff.
on wood.
That's like a little superstition. That's kind of like, oh, I don't want to. Or if like you work in the kitchen business long enough, you get a superstition from a coworker. Like a lot of times, if you're working in the service industry,
Sure, that one
and you mention, wow, it's really fucking slow. As soon as you say it out loud,
Right.
So all the other coworkers, especially if they've worked there for longer than a month or two, if you say that out loud, you're gonna get slapped, and then it's gonna get fucking busy.
Then you get slammed.
It is like I don't even know if you can call that a superstition. That's a science in that case. but
it's
like
backed up by facts.
it's like legitimately like they feel like you fucking did it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No,
But
it's true. Yeah.
So it's I wonder if there was ever I feel like I always have like a little bit. I do still believe in ghosts. Like my wife has not told me I don't yet. So
yeah. Do you want my wife to tell you that you don't?
Yeah,
okay.
she may have to.
She might.
Pat, hey Pat, you're a reasonable guy.
Let's
But I've been to Gettysburg. I feel like I have that like knock on wood thing.
Sure.
Like if it's even like a reaction, but I don't have like a weird, you know how some people think they have like a OCD kiss, do this and point or whatever after saying something like,
sure.
Oh, don't jinx it. Like I don't feel like I have that necessarily, but I feel like as far as service industry superstitions, I definitely still have that.
You have those things. Yeah, that's funny. I now when you mention it, of course, I do that kind of thing all the time, but it's more about the influence of other people that have come through. So, if you're like, or we'll do things like, I wish, and it'll be insert something stupid. I wish that there was more milk in the the refrigerator, and my wife will say, you wasted a wish on that, like, and I'm like, because that one will come true, but like not the important one.
Oh my god, what if that was the one?
Yeah,
real
the
wish
one.
you had?
Right. And then I'm like, fuck, man.
Like
I'm
a
an
genie was
idiot.
just strolling past your house and was just like, oh, what's that, Jeff? Oh, you got it.
Milk in the
Bing,
fridge,
bing. And just a cow drops on your house. You're
Right.
like, motherfucker.
or I got to the fridge in the garage because we have another fridge in the garage, and I'm like, oh, there is an extra milk.
You bought milk. Like, God damn no, I didn't, Jeff.
That was the
that
wish.
Was a fucking genie.
It was the genie that was strolling by, and I blew it.
That'd be awesome if your wife made you feel terrible for the rest of your life because you wasted the one wish on that.
Oh my god!
The fucking washing machine's broken.
I deserve it.
Yeah. Well, I don't think so, pal. But it's been a great week. I feel like maybe one of us broke a mirror earlier on, and that's why what happened, and it
had to have
like a vampire,
and which is why you like broke your foot too.
Yeah, I don't.
So you're injured.
Tacoed it. I just, as of right now, the official diagnosis is I tacoed my foot with planting all my weight, and I think Ben's weight, all of it on that. So. It should be fine. It already does feel better than yesterday. I got plenty of rest. I slept like 12 hours, which also may have been a contributing factor. Lack of sleep,
guys. Poor diet. Yeah,
not listening to the episodes. We did a couple.
Exactly. we just did this whole episode on this stuff, and it's so funny that like as soon as we break our own rules, like shit goes bad.
Yeah, rules are great. Don't break them. But if you do, you're gonna break your foot.
Yeah.
We're just gonna keep adding to that saying.
You can just hold on to that one. Yeah.
Listen to Jeff.
Yeah, listen.
I cannot. What's one of those things like the views expressed by Pat on 6 a.m. Podcast do not express the views of 6 a.m. Podcast.
Sorry.
I'm a liability, dude.
Or its affiliates.
Yeah, or any affiliates. But I feel better, so I should like just keep taking Tylenol and drinking water, fucking hanging out.
Yeah, yep.
Relaxing, not going to class, not taking hikes, blah blah blah.
Now here's the funny thing. So when we put our show up on a couple of different channels, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have the actual audio podcast, and then we have the YouTube. That goes up. And it's funny, I've noticed that recently, is like when you put it up for me to review, other people find it.
Well, I'll take it up with YouTube. In the meantime,
well,
you hackers.
Yeah, we got some hackers in our midst.
I didn't think about that till after the fact.
What's so funny is ended up today, I was being asked about the next episode, and I'm like, I think I'm going to entitle it The Burbs and all that. They're like, oh, we already heard it. And I'm like, what the fuck? How did I post that? Did I put it up? I don't remember putting it up. I didn't. They just found it on YouTube.
Getting out there on the dark web.
Yeah. By the time this episode comes out, you'll hopefully have listened to it already. But we got some great as a result, because this last episode was, of course, about this crazy like neighbor story that I had, and we got a lot of different like crazy neighbor stories to share as a result. I mean, I've gotten a lot of feedback. And you told me that you had one in particular that you wanted to share.
Yeah.
Before we get into our main topic today, is it appropriate to do that now?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
This is a nice. He kept it nice and tight.
Okay.
This guy.
I can't wait to hear it, man.
So it's a listener, Ben.
Okay.
Ben was kind enough to. He said he entitled this "Ben's Weird Neighbor Story."
Do you want me to read this?
Yeah, you might want to read it.
Do you know how to read?
No, not really.
Should I try and imitate his voice when I do it?
If you want to, yeah.
Okay, here it goes. All right. My wife and I moved into our current house outside of Gettysburg, PA, back in 2015 when we moved back to the area from North Carolina. Our house is in the middle of nowhere farm country in south central PA, so to see law enforcement officer in our area is extremely rare. In the 6 years we have lived in our house, I would say we have seen maybe 2 or 3 police officers on our road. So it was definitely odd when in November of 2016, when 3 Pennsylvania State Police vehicles pulled into my neighbor's driveway on a Sunday morning and arrested him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, by the way, guys, Jeff has not read the story.
I have not read the story yet. Keep in mind,
I did read it properly in my head to myself. I know it's
Keep in mind. Okay, because we've all had like, I mean, maybe not all of us, but I've had neighbors. I lived in a neighborhood where like the SWAT team raided my neighbor's house like twice.
Right. Yeah. Okay. There's some neighborhoods where like it's kind of like it's just the life of the neighborhood.
It's just the life of the neighborhood.
It's like saying like, oh, I don't normally see that red car parked on the street. Like it's just legitimately sometimes. Sure. It's just one of those neighborhoods where you're like, oh, I don't normally notice somebody having to.
Bill got arrested again.
Yeah. Oh, look at this. Like, no, that meth lab blew up again.
Again, right.
Coming from Florida, you see a lot of things.
Okay. Keep in mind, this man is in his late 40s and still lives in the basement of his mother's house. I don't need to read the rest of the story.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, you do.
This is the house next to ours. Not judging, just another oddity that adds to the story. Okay. 2 days later, I'm at work, and I get a call from my wife that our neighbor, T, all right, so as not to use his real name. I figured that one out, Ben.
Yeah.
Was just over at the house and asked Ashley, which I assume is Ben's wife, if he could store his liquor bottles in niche.
It sounds like a made-up story.
I'm sorry. I'll try and read it. I'll try and read it straight, so I'm not like laughing every time I say. Okay, I'll start just a little bit back. So T came over to their house to ask Ben's wife if he could store his liquor bottles and ninja swords in our garage for a short period of time, to which she agreed.
Like that reminded me, that particular part of the story reminded me of when your wife like answered the door
and accepted a used gorilla. Used gorilla suit.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. Okay, so and I mean this is reasonable. Mostly out of shock she accepted this because of the odd request. When I got home from work, I went over to T's house to ask him what the heck was going on.
T's mom's house.
T's mom's house, apparently. Yeah. Apparently, he had broken up with his girlfriend the week prior, and although I didn't ask to know the details of the end of their relationship, there was a PFA filed against T by his then-girlfriend. I will say that although T could be described as an odd dude, I considered him to be truly a harmless guy. So I was surprised to hear that a PFA had been filed against him. Now, the summer prior to the breakup, T's girlfriend's dog had passed away, and they buried the animal in the backyard of T's mother's house in a wooden coffin box that he made.
Probably with his ninja sword.
T was not happy that his girlfriend decided to break up with him, and in a moment of poor decision-making, I love this, went out to his backyard, dug up the dead dog's remains and put them in a gym bag, drove a half hour to his ex-girlfriend's house, forced himself through the front door of the home uninvited, and impaled the dead dog's remains from the... emptied. I'm sorry, not impaled. Emptied the dead dog's remains from the gym bag onto the kitchen table. At this point...
That's not cool, T.
Not cool, T.
That's not cool.
At this point, some yelling between them ensued, and T left with the dog's remains still on her kitchen table. The next morning, 3 state police vehicles rolled up and arrested him for breaking and entering.
Now we know where they came from.
Violation of his PFA, and there were a few other charges I can't remember. As part of his bail, he was not allowed to own any weapons, and I guess didn't want any liquor in the house either.
They lead to weapons, a lot of times.
As the DOC,
that might have been the poor decision-making part of it.
as the DOC, which is the Department of Corrections, could conduct random home checks on him, so his swords and liquor stayed in our garage for a few months until his probation was over. And then we gave them back. If nothing else, the most interesting breakup story I've ever heard. I have to agree with you on this one, Ben.
Right?
Terrific story.
That's like, isn't that like fucking? It's just like it's got everything. It's got ninja swords. It's got liquor. It's got, love, lost.
Love lost.
You know what I mean?
I'm not a fan of violating a PFA.
Okay, by the way, what's PFA mean?
It's a protection from abuse order.
Yeah, okay. So, that's the part where I was like, that's not funny.
Yeah, there's nothing funny about a PFA.
But it's also like, if that's brought on strictly by him going in like, you fucking left me, and like pouring Scruffy out on the...
I can't speak to T's situation or how the PFA came about, so I'm just going to have to assume that it was there for a decent reason. So you shouldn't break PFAs.
Right.
But if the breakup just involved being pissed off and digging up the dead dog out of the backyard and dumping it on a kitchen table, kudos to you, my friend.
That is bold.
That's
a bold move.
That is a bold move.
I don't know how you expect her to come back after that.
I assume that statement clearly says, let's not get back together
It's
again.
Over. Like, that's one of those things.
Oh, no. You can't fucking fire me. I quit.
Yeah, I thought of it maybe like, sometimes they hope that you left something at their house. And they're like, you fucking left your fucking dog here. And they're like, what?
And by the way,
Randy, or T. Whatever the fucking guy's name is. I just assumed it's a weird, like, T maybe stands for Travis. Maybe it's, or
Todd.
Terry. I don't know.
Could
but
be Terry.
I got to know, like, the ninja swords part. Okay, so, again, just, from Florida, my brother definitely collects ninja swords.
Okay.
And
to each his own.
Swords. Yeah, lots of weapons. Not even like really great on display.
Yeah,
but like he has them.
Or even practical weapons.
No, not even a little bit.
Yeah,
not even a little. Like a cat of nine tails.
Yeah, gotcha.
What are you going to use that for?
Nothing.
Like, and also he is the clumsiest person I know. So, and if he's watching, anytime you say the word yawn, he yawns.
Right.
So,
right.
There you go.
There you go.
Like, you don't want somebody with a sword. You just say yawn, and he's like,
got him again.
You're still not fierce.
Yeah.
So I understand the ninja swords part, and the liquor part I think is part of the I make bad decisions.
I think that was part of the good decision making process.
All of that, yeah. Like, get it out of the house. I don't need to celebrate any swords or liquor right now. I just need to think about what I've done. And hopefully T got better. So.
And by the way, T, I want our dog back. You son of a bitch.
Here you go.
No, you want the dog back. You got it.
I hope it was, again, like I hope there was no actual like harm,
certainly
brought to anybody, except for the fact that he like pushes her and says like, there you go, and then like walks out, like
right.
In that case,
I'm hoping there weren't, because the miscellaneous charges is like assault and battery.
Don't like it.
Yeah, don't like it.
Don't like that, T.
Yeah.
Get better.
But
don't do that.
Get better.
And leave her alone.
But
it's over. But Ben, thank you so much for sharing.
Ben, thank you for your pet cemetery story. That was awesome. That was awesome.
Yeah, that's a twist.
We should have saved it for Halloween.
Oh, yeah. Well,
we are in October.
So that was a lovely story. So if you have any other stories
story.
that you want to share your weird neighbor stories with us, you can send them to babymermaidproductions at gmail.com. Or DM me or Jeff because honestly,
of course,
it doesn't have to be a surprise for you. You're probably going to end up reading them anyway.
Probably.
So because
you can't read.
I can't read out loud for sure. I can read, but it takes a couple laps sometimes.
Yeah, get warmed up. All I'm going to tell you is that Ben, because you were the first one to participate at that level, when we get our T-shirts made, you get a free T-shirt, my friend, for sure. That was good. It was a great story. That story is worthy of a free T-shirt.
Hell yeah.
So this brings us to our main topic today.
What's our topic today?
Yeah, so it's been coming up a couple of times recently, and asking. I have students and friends of mine that have asked me what my feelings are about fake black belts in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Here we go. Let's get into it.
Yeah, interesting, and I had to really think about it. And I think my first, for those of our listeners that don't do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, understand that getting your black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is kind of a big deal. And it's a big deal because it takes on average a very long time for you to get your black belt. And so for somebody to kind of skip the process and go and buy themselves a black belt or award themselves a black belt is a big no-no.
Like, this is a thing that happens often?
Not often.
Oh, okay.
Not often. Yeah. Thankfully, I don't think it does. And the reason it doesn't happen that often is because in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, it's not that difficult to find out if you are of a black belt caliber.
Yeah.
If you wear the black belt, now not all black belts are made equally. There are scores and scores of black belts that are way better than I am at jiu-jitsu. All right, and I would be I'm intimidated to roll with my professor or any of the black belt instructors in our school because I don't want them to think I suck at jiu-jitsu.
Right.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Right.
Yeah. It's one of those things. It's right. That's
did I earn this? You know what I mean?
Yeah. So because especially if they're the people that awarded it, like I have sometimes it's the same things a lot of times where like if somebody's rolling with you, I'm sure they feel like, oh, Jeff just gave me a stripe today, and then he rolled with me. He probably thinks I fucking don't earn it or something like that.
Well, to your point though, I think I feel that way about rolling with all of you guys too.
Oh.
It's not just my my professor or the other black belts. It's also like the guys that I respect and the gals that I respect, and I'm like, man, when I suck, because there's days that I just completely blow and I can't get anything going. I'm like, man, they're going to be like, why is this guy wearing a black belt?
I don't think that's the case, but yeah.
But for the record, I earned mine legitimately.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
And so like the topic comes up about whether or not, what are my feelings about, and I know this isn't Ask a Black Belt section, but I mean, it was just a topic on hand about people who fake their black belts. And it's interesting because I think my initial reaction is to say, fuck those guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Point them out to me and let's go.
You want to like point them out like stolen valor kind of thing.
Yeah. Which kind of is what inspired this because I think you were talking about that with some of our active duty and former military guys in the gym, and you're asking them about stolen valor. Yeah. And generally speaking, it was funny because their take, I find commonly their take is like, I don't give it much thought. I feel bad for those guys. Like I don't think about it.
It doesn't mean that much to me to like point them out.
Yeah,
like,
it doesn't mean anything.
Them,
Right, exactly. It's not worth my time, effort, or energy.
Right.
And it got me thinking that realistically, that's kind of how I feel about it too.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah. So what?
I mean, you'll see them if you get on like YouTube. They're wildly entertaining. There's quite a few like outings of fake black belts. Have you seen any of those?
No, I haven't seen that.
You haven't seen any of them?
I've seen the stolen valor ones. Yeah.
Okay, but you haven't seen any of the fake black belt ones?
No.
Oh man.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. There's.
How do they do it?
Somebody is at the gym and they're like they're taping it or videoing it with their phone or whatever. Like there's a couple of like pretty serious or egregious.
So like somebody goes into that gym at like the black belt, like the real black belt goes into the black belt's gym and says like.
Well, we've had a couple of instances where we've had like purple and brown belts going to like other academies in which like the instructor, because they knew that the instructor was claiming to be a black belt and then went to take their class and found out that they weren't anywhere near black belt level.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Fucking up fundamentals and like things that doesn't make sense. Don't get me wrong. There are plenty of like older guys that are black belts in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu don't roll as much anymore as they used to, or aren't in the same amount of shape that they were when they were younger, or whatever. And with all due respect, like you don't expect them to be, on the crushing everybody at the gym.
Right.
However, they would certainly know the answers to like fundamentals.
Knowledge.
Yeah, have the knowledge base.
Experience, things like
exactly.
that. Yeah.
And so and everybody that on these videos, you could tell that they give them the benefit of the doubt first.
Yeah.
They have the respect and assume that they're telling the truth until they roll with them and they're like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then they like lose their minds,
that's awesome.
like and I don't know, like I mean, my personal feeling is like I get it. Like for one of these like bad black belts is out there, flying the flag of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and they have students, and when you have students, you have a responsibility.
Right.
And so if you found out that somebody's, not a legit black belt,
yeah.
I mean, is it now your responsibility to out them? I don't know.
Yeah, that's a very interesting. Yeah, okay, I get. I was wondering how this was gonna like pertain. Like, I was like, how am I gonna speak on this at all? Like,
well,
really?
Let me ask you. We'll take it from this perspective.
If I found out I was paying for,
so let's assume for a second that you've been been paying and going to our academy, and you've been training at the 6 a.m. class for all this time,
right?
And I'm like,
I see you rolling with like a purple belt.
We'll say I've been teaching you all this stuff, right? Yeah. And you go to visit another academy, or you go to competition,
okay,
and you get rolled up real bad,
yeah,
right?
Like and I'm
like, hey, listen, yeah, you get smoked, and I'm like, listen, It's just because of your nerves and competition. So then you go to start traveling around to some other academies, and they're like, "Who taught you this?" And you're like, "Bro, my professor taught me this." And they're like, "This guy's a dipshit, right?"
Yeah.
Now you find out through the grapevine then that maybe my lineage isn't legit, or I didn't actually. Right. What would you do then? How would that make you like? How would you handle that?
That's a great question. This is Ask a Blue Belt. I would say no. I would honestly. I think I would definitely stop going there
for sure. I think that's a given. It's smart.
I would. By that time though, like I still wouldn't feel confident enough in my jiu-jitsu to like want to like kick your ass or anything like that. You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't want to start a fight, like a confrontation.
Right. I
with
think
you,
that's smart. Yeah.
Or like out you in any way. But I would definitely, whatever next gym I go to, I would talk so much shit about it. I would just tell them like, yeah, like the fucking dickhead Jeff. Like, oh my, I would still do the podcast with you.
What about? We still do the podcast. Thank goodness. What about your crew though? Would you tell everybody that you roll?
I would be like, dudes, guys, like we are terrible. It's okay though. It's not us. We're getting terrible instruction. It would be more of a. I would be more consumer based at that point. Like, would
you like approach other leadership in the gym and be like, hey, listen. You know.
I would like say like, hey, did you guys know this?
Yeah.
And then if that was the case, then that would depend on what kind of shit talking I would do after the fact.
Right.
But
how it was handled.
But that would be being misled the whole time. You know what I mean? Like it never even brought up of like, oh, by the way, like where'd Jeff get that black belt? Like what the. Who the fuck, you know what I mean? Or
right.
The fact that the vetting that they do at the gym, like if Brogan told me at some point, if he was like, oh yeah, we don't do that 4-year thing. What is he talking about?
Yeah,
no, we just call their gym and like we talk to them and then we talk, you know, like we have talk with their other instructors or something like that. Like
right.
It's like like finding out like that kind of shit. That would be like the end of a fucking horror movie for me, like where it's like all coming back to me of like you just full of shit.
Yeah.
But I would just be like, I would stop coming. I think, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think I would send anybody over to expose you.
Right.
But it wouldn't be, I think that kind of thing of like, it doesn't, I feel like jiu-jitsu has a way of kind of doing that. Like, yes, you can do that in a bubble. But like after a while, it kind of works its way. So when you do go to comp, like people are like, "What the fuck is that?"
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've had speaking of that, and it wasn't a fake black belt scenario, but it was definitely a grandiose vision of what type of instructor he was, and unfortunately, wouldn't be the last person I ran into that was like that, especially in the mixed martial arts arena. There's lots of people that are willing to tell you what a great coach and fighter they were back in the day. But at any rate, I had my first coach who actually, and I have to give him credit, taught me a lot about, introduced me to a lot of things, not least of which was Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and I fell in love with it. But he had us convinced at one point that we were like too dangerous to go out into to fight in mixed martial arts. Do you know what I mean?
That's a red flag.
Yeah, but we didn't know it though. Yeah. And even I started as an adult. Like I got snowed. It was embarrassing.
Once I got a new pickup line.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. Sorry.
See here, lady. Careful now.
The UFC. That's nice, but
those guys. Yeah,
I'm far too
dangerous.
My
coach says I could rip that guy to shreds. You know, I'm too dangerous. Don't get me. Don't get me riled up.
I think it's interesting too because I think there was a part of me that thought I was way better, like not on purpose, but because I was told that. I believed that I was way better than I really was.
Yeah.
And there were a lot of really good dudes at that gym. Good fighters too, who ended up being really good fighters. And I think in spite of a lot of that instruction and attitude. And it's not to say that he didn't have valid technique to teach. It was more along the lines of sort of I don't know, maybe it was some sort of like positive vision that he was trying to make us like believe these things so that we could reach our goals or whatever. But more than that, I think it was actually his ego that drove that.
Yeah, it's a weird line between technique and ego. Like, is there like a thing where like you truly feel like you're at the peak of what you're trying to teach?
Right.
Because that's the thing. Maybe if it's like a made up martial art, that's there's plenty of fake black belts there.
Oh, for sure.
If they created the thing and they're at the peak of whatever that thing is, it doesn't mean that that's the most effective martial art. to compare to other.
Sure.
You know what I mean? In that realm, he's a black belt. Sure.
Okay, fine.
But
right.
but in ranked actual things that other people are trained that there's more than 2 or 3 gyms.
Yeah.
You there's a way of having checks and balances in that
well,
way.
And I think that's true. Obviously, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is a great one because there really isn't any way for you to get around it. You have to fight, you have to roll, you have to compete, and even if you're not doing it in competition in a formal sense, you're still competing in class every day.
Right.
And so you have to demonstrate some knowledge base. You have to demonstrate the ability to execute these moves. Whether you're able to dominate people or not is not really the criteria.
Right.
In as much it is you want to. Trust me. The more you do that, and the more you compete and the better you do, the more likely you are to make rank. But you don't have to do this, but you still have to show a proficiency and an understanding of that.
An understanding for sure. Yeah.
Here's the thing, though, and this is what and I understood then kind of I sort of understood the commentary on stolen valor to a degree. I was not in the military, so I don't hold that perspective. Mm-hmm. So I'm not a combat veteran. I didn't serve in the military, and so I could understand getting on as a civilian. My dad was right, and I don't appreciate people stealing his valor.
Right, yeah.
The things that he did.
Yeah,
so it's more don't fuck with my dad type of thing.
Yeah, there's still some connection to it in one way or
another.
Sure.
Sure. And I have very good friends that served and are combat veterans. Don't steal that from them.
And you still have your opinion of you know enough people and what they went through personally. It's kind of that's how you can empathize.
Sure.
With me, I didn't feel one way or another about it because I don't really have that kind of
connection.
There's a couple people I know, but
yeah. But to where I was going with that was that I was saying so I understand though now with that, if I put it in this category, I understand why they're kind of meh. I just don't have time to worry about it. It is, and almost to the extent where they actually feel bad for these people is because I actually did earn my black belt legitimately, and I think to myself, why would you deprive yourself of that opportunity?
Right.
And I'll say it like this: is that I'm a super average guy when it comes to athletics, basically when it comes to everything. And so if I'm able to accomplish that goal, that means that person would probably be able to accomplish that goal too. Right. If you just would have put the time in, you would have done it.
Yeah, you could have.
And why would you deprive yourself of that? Because it was awesome. Yeah. It was an awesome journey. It continues to be an awesome journey. But why would you short yourself on that?
There are some people that do it, especially with the stolen valor thing. There's somewhat of a monetary gain for it for homeless people.
Sure, I can get behind. I understand.
And I don't. That's the ones where I will have an actual feeling of come on, man.
Sure, you're taking benefits, or you're taking free food, or you're
but also
taking people's kindness. Yeah.
And also, if you're if you're the homeless guy, maybe you're out of options for whatever else.
Maybe
both people. I feel like both people in that scenario kind of need help of is he taking? Do you think he's taking your benefits or your things or what you've done, anything you've accomplished? He's obviously. I would never do that. But that's because I haven't hit whatever bottom this guy's at.
Sure.
That's how I think of it.
Sure, that could be the
case. And that's something that's just a third party perspective that I can offer. But other than that, I totally get both perspectives of taking it personally, of being meh, but also I think coming from this scenario of the black belt and the fake black belt, I don't know if there's a monetary gain to it except for the fact that you're running a gym.
Well, if that's the case,
if you're teaching people, and you could also be physically putting someone in danger. I feel like this is almost worse than a stolen valor scenario because you're actually going to be putting someone in a physical.
Well, and
if they go to competition and you say this guy's a black belt in my gym, but I kept you in this bubble because you're too dangerous.
Sure.
Then, okay, you got
that exactly my point.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're right on the money.
He goes out there and then some guy fucking puts him on his head.
Yeah.
And he doesn't even know how to fucking protect himself. Even he doesn't even know how to break fall.
Yeah.
That's he could get injured doing that. I feel like it's almost more dangerous.
There's a false sense of security and belief that you are something that you are not.
Right.
And I think that is a disservice.
Yeah.
And I agree with you because that's the biggest thing about that is that especially when you're teaching when you really think about it. And I don't know that it goes across the board for self-defense tactics. And I believe honestly that most of the people that teach self-defense tactics believe that the tactics they're teaching are effective.
Yeah. Obviously.
They're not doing it just to make money or to build people up or believe it.
Right.
But let me fill you guys in on this one. That if you are somebody that has taken one of those, 20, the 2 hour seminar, or
you got a Groupon.
Yeah, you got a Groupon. did the 2 hour women's self defense seminar.
Yeah.
And think that you've got what it takes to defend yourself against a violent attacker. I got news for you, right? The key to self-defense tactics is training it all the time.
Repetition.
Yeah, it's repetition.
Memory. It's like fighting. It's
right,
fighting.
It's fighting.
Yeah.
So you don't forget it. Like
right.
when you need it, it just happens because you don't have to think about it. And so there's a lot of responsibility, because at the core of our academy, and every Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu academy, is the self-defense component of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. It's a martial art. It's designed to help prepare you for a violent encounter.
Right.
And so when you really think about it, it's a lot of fun. I mean, we have a blast, and we spend more time, goofing off and doing jiu-jitsu and for the sake of jiu-jitsu and competing and such. But realistically, we can't deny the fact that what I want for you guys to be able to do is defend yourselves in a violent attack.
Right.
And I would be mortified if what I gave you didn't help defend your life.
Right.
It'd be awful.
That's you taking personal responsibility, and that's something that a lot of people don't do even in their paid jobs. It's not having that dedication and taking that extra step of caring like that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I think it's not for in the fake black belt realm. It's not caring for people, and I think that speaks to what I was saying about I
think it equates to that.
Yeah, not having that same, but it's also you actually care because you're also getting to know the people and everything. I think do you think in that sense it's excusable for somebody they want the social circle, they want the respect, obviously, of having, they're the black belt, they're having the gym, but where does it become they're a narcissist? You know what I mean?
Because well, sure. Well,
they're
we're dealing
not
with
thinking about their safety. But they're thinking they're thinking that they want friends, they want attention, they want they want friends, they want money, but they're not thinking about
or hot chicks.
Guys, I think maybe the Rex Kwando. I think I got cinnamon. What was her name? I can't remember her name.
I can't remember her name either.
But they're cinnamon. But dude, I think fake black belts are not only bad, in poor taste.
Yeah,
but they're dangerous.
Yeah,
they're
sure.
serial killers.
Yeah, I guess I would say that I can appreciate. I appreciate the envy. If you were somebody, so if you were not a teacher, if you're not an instructor, but you're just going to a new academy and you'd go in and you tell them that you're a black belt and you don't really, you're not responsible for instructing anybody. But here's the thing, though, and we've talked about this before in this podcast, is that if you put that black belt on as a Brazilian, and I can't speak for other martial arts, but as a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioner, if you put that black belt on, you assume the responsibility of a black belt. Yeah. That means other people are going to be asking you questions and looking to you for advice, and so you have to know that going in. It's part of the responsibility, and usually your academy won't award you your black belt if they don't believe that you're up to that task.
Okay. Yeah.
So, even if you're not an instructor, an official instructor. So, but I can see that, I can understand that there's some sort of, there's some sort of envy there. Maybe you're somebody that, that had trained in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for a while and, fell off for whatever reason, then came back and thought, nobody's going to question me. I'm just going to be this.
Right.
How hard could it be? And so from that perspective, I can understand that you did those things. And the only thing I would say in those cases is hey man, listen, just put your work in like everybody else.
Yeah.
And you'll have my respect.
Yeah.
I won't even think about the fact that you came in here as a black belt to begin with. Just do the work.
Right.
And you'll be fine.
Nobody's going to remember that.
Right. Nobody's going to remember it. Right.
If you come here for a month, nobody's going to remember that at the end of the month.
Nobody's going to give a shit because you're on the mat now doing your work.
Right.
So just do it because for somebody like that, I think Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu would do a tremendous amount of good for them.
So you think there's hope still?
I do. But if you're the guy that starts his own gym,
then
I think,
and then you're by the way, now I'm a black belt.
Yeah.
Of this. Are you saying the guy who starts his own thing?
Starts his own thing, or goes to another academy. You can look at it. You'll see it online. There's one of because the UFC gym franchises sometimes because they're franchises. The people that are hiring Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu instructors don't know what to look for in in terms of lineage or criteria for that. And so they'll hire knuckleheads that are like, yeah, I'm a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and they're not really black belts. There's a whole video on that one, but when you're, I'd put it this way: if you're doing harm, like,
get the hell
you gotta
out.
go.
Yeah, man. I like that. There's a whole new rabbit hole for me now on YouTube.
Yeah,
exposing.
Oh,
fake
good.
black belts.
Yeah, and maybe for some of our listeners, if they didn't know, there's like, and there's not like a whole plethora of them, but there'll be enough to keep you entertained for an afternoon.
Enough gems.
There's enough gems for an afternoon of entertainment for you.
That's awesome.
So there you go. That's it. There wasn't anything grand about it. I just thought we'd address the topic, like fake black belts. I'm like, meh.
I like that. I like that because the comparison to the Stolen Valor is like the fact that you found a way to actually like, because it's such an interesting thing to me when somebody takes a stranger doing something so personally in that sense, like unless I saw somebody wearing my personal stuff that was like stolen, you know what I mean? I'd be like, where'd you get this?
Yeah, or sleeping with your wife or whatever.
Why are you doing this? You're stealing my valor. But like, I wouldn't want it to be. It's the same way it would be like if somebody took one of my wife's recipes and was making a dish that I was like, no, that's what she makes.
No, that doesn't.
Then
count.
I would be upset.
That's what you're supposed to do with recipes. You're supposed to share recipes.
Nah, hell no.
No, fuck that.
That's her Zupa.
Yeah, I can see that. Like, honestly, I see it from both perspectives. But maybe more importantly is that I'm just too busy training to give a shit.
Yeah. At that point, I'm
too busy trying to prove that I'm not a fake black belt.
And I think this is. I was going to say this. I'm glad you brought that up because I think the real like key to like not like knowing your shit of like in jiu-jitsu, it's like the weird odd little questions that I think where I'm like, does it matter? Like when somebody asks you like, does it matter what side you grab? I'm like, yeah. Answer this one, Jeff. And then you're it doesn't or it does. And you're like, because either I can do this or this, like, or like, oh, he can push this away. Like when you have an answer for all those little, the little questions, stuff, like the little things of like, what if I grab his ankle instead of his that's fine. Do this or grab it like this. And you're like, oh, it does fucking work better. You're like, either he has the best memory ever or he actually knows this shit.
Either way, I win.
Yeah, either way, he's a black belt. So I honor you.
Oh, well, thank you, Pat. Thank you.
And I do appreciate the distinction as well. If you do know a black belt and you do find out that they are indeed a black belt, ask them what they prefer to be identified as. Because,
right.
Because I didn't realize there was a preference, and you don't want them on your bad side.
Yeah.
Yeah. Professor Beck.
Professor.
Not Sensei.
It is not my preference.
So anyway, what's been on your turntable lately, buddy?
I prefer Master, Sensei, Professor. I have my ego in check.
Oh, you're right.
So it's just Master, Professor, Sensei. Don't fuck up the order.
Wait, you just did though.
Who did?
Nobody.
Did I?
Nobody, sir.
What's on my turntable?
Yeah. Has anything helped to turn this wretched week around?
Funny you should ask.
Oh?
Yeah. Actually, quite a few things have. And I find that it's funny that, like, when I find that I'm in the most, like, depressed moments, like, a good record.
Yeah. It
fixes your shit, man.
For me, it could just be, like, even as simple as, like, a catchy hook, a song.
I don't know if you do this.
Just kind of like, bing, just.
I don't know if you do this. Do you purposefully search for music to help fit the mood?
Yeah.
I do too. So I'm like, okay.
I blame the algorithm a lot of times too. When I put it on shuffle and I start clicking through, I'm like, Spotify just doesn't get me.
Yeah, that's what I say. I'm like, yeah.
I'll
do the same fucking thing, man. Like if it's a Saturday morning, I'm like, Pandora is on fire today.
Yeah,
they know exactly.
Hell yeah, DJ Pandora.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome, man. So I do the same thing. So I have to find the music that's gonna fit this particular mood and get me out of this funk, right? And for me this week, it was Static Radio New Jersey. Are you familiar with this band?
No, not at all.
Okay, they're not a band anymore. And if they are, I'll be surprised. But the last I checked, I didn't say. But the album that you want to find is called One for the Good Guys. Hardcore band out of New Jersey. They changed their style after the first record. The second record and third record are pretty good. Like it's a little bit softer, but One for the Good Guys. I mean, there's like I think there's like 9 songs on it, and the record's like 22 minutes long. So that should give you an idea.
Oh, so a hardcore band from New Jersey?
Yeah, hardcore band from New Jersey. And I don't know, man. There's just like, it's just the very opening track is just like, man, it'll blow your freaking brain out. You know,
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, man.
Some of the best bands are just not bands anymore.
It got me. Well, that's true too. That's true. But it got me asking this question, and maybe you can answer it. And the question is, why is punk rock music the greatest music ever made?
I think because it truly is, like, even though there's literally a genre of music known as emo, it is.
I've never heard of it.
It's the most emotional music.
Ooh.
Because it spans, like, the genre of punk spans actually quite a few genres itself.
It does indeed.
In my way, like, it has its own, like, sneakily, it has its own pop. It has its own, like, metal. It has its own, like, country. And it has its own, like, everything else. Like, so it, like, and all of those things are just as emotional, but, like, it's just the loudest one is the one that everybody thinks is, like, the angstiest.
Yeah,
they're really all angsty. It gives a 40-year-old man the reason to be angsty.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and not political. Like, and not
That's
in a
a
political
really good
way.
fucking answer, Pat.
Sorry, no,
it was really good. I really like that. Yeah,
but it's like legitimately like bands like or like who's the guy, Frank Turner?
Yeah,
no,
Frank Turner.
No, who's the guy from Hot Water Music?
Chuck Reagan.
Chuck Reagan.
Yeah.
Like stuff like that. Like where he's like it's the same. It's the same thing.
Sure,
Chuck Reagan and
his
Hot Water
acoustic
Music,
stuff.
yeah.
You mean? Yeah.
It's like the same.
It's fucking great.
Power. It's the same. Like everything, heart and emotion, and like it's just subject matter has shifted. It's not changed. It's still his family. It's still his like and
That's
the
why
world
yeah.
and
Yeah.
the state. Like it doesn't have to just be like. You don't have to watch Fox News and CNN and stuff like and all the other networks. Every other, it's like if I don't say somebody's favorite, you know, whatever.
The Food Network.
Yeah, the Food Network. You don't have to watch. You don't have to make stuff like a political thing all the time. Sometimes you can just be fucking pissed off about stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, and it doesn't have to be. So it's like it doesn't have to be much more than that. Like I feel like it's so like I feel like. Punk rock is the greatest one because it has everything you need,
and you don't even have to be particularly good at playing an instrument.
No, like
you can just
it's the
let
message.
it rip.
Yeah. Like, and some of them are, and that's the beauty of it. Some of them we don't like exclude anybody from being good.
Yeah, we
like
don't.
That's the thing. Is like if you get too good at like some music, like people start fucking hating you, or they say you stole their music. Everybody fucking steals music, assholes.
That's the part.
You think you created the G note?
What, no, or better
make
yet,
A minor?
Yeah, did you invent the 12-bar blues? Because that's all this is. It's all 12-bar blues.
Losers.
All
like,
great music.
Everybody's a fucking thief. So
Yeah,
so when they're like Madonna's like Lady Gaga stole my music. It's like, bitch, you stole music from somebody else.
Yeah.
Like it happens.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
everybody
100%.
steals.
Of course. Yeah.
So like in that case,
just steal like an artist.
You can't steal art. Like you can't steal art unless it's like you stole a canvas with paint on it. You know what I mean? Like, you didn't steal the art. You stole the property. You're pissed off about the property that you own. You didn't steal the art.
Yeah.
The art happened.
But nobody owns me, baby.
Hey, you know what I mean?
I do. That's a great answer, man.
We're fucking dumb.
Thank you
for
doing that.
And it was an answer to your what was on your turntable.
Well, my turn. Yeah. So Static Radio New Jersey. If you guys get a chance to listen to One for the Good Guys, listen to the record. It only take you 20 minutes. Listen to the whole thing.
Honestly, just do it.
Just listen to it. It's a great record. Okay, so what's on your turntable?
Okay, so in the same theme of mood-driven music, what like to turn it around? What is your go-to for if you have like a fucking solid gig? Like you have a really good gig, like a performance. Whenever you're in a band, anytime you have that performance, or like let's say you have a really good time at the skate park, or if you have a really good day rolling or teaching, you're like, I fucking nailed it today. Like, and then
what
you're like,
record do you need to listen to?
The same idea. What's a go-to song that you like to like? If it's on shuffle, you're like, yeah, now you're getting me.
Yeah.
Because that's the kind of in the vein of what I got today. If you want, I'll mention mine.
Yeah, go ahead, because I want to know what's on your turntable.
So Suzanne Sundfør is a singer, like a pop singer from.
Okay.
I believe she's Swedish because she's got one of those little lines through the O in her name.
Yeah.
And
but not an umlaut. Do you know what an umlaut is?
Yeah, the dots.
The dot
right?
dot.
Yeah. Something like that. She's like one of them.
She's one of those people.
But like just an incredible voice, and there's a song that I discovered via a podcast I listened to that they were playing that it has become like an undeniable top 10 song of my life. I love this fucking song.
Wow. Okay. And it's just one track?
It's like if I need to get pumped up for a show or if I had a fucking great show, this is the thing. It's Fade Away.
Okay.
By Suzanne Sunfor.
Okay.
And that's just the intro. Like if that's what brought me into the thing. But honestly, anything by Suzanne or it's like it's perfect. Like,
that's
again,
awesome.
You know what I mean? Like anytime I try to suggest anything on here or what like legitimately something that has helped me get out of a funk or when I'm not in a funk. Like I had a couple really good shows lately that I'm proud of. Yeah. So like this has been on the turntable.
That's awesome. I love it.
Like legitimately. Yeah. And it's also something that like I always like to give a suggestion. Like if I get a great suggestion of an artist or something like that.
Sure. Yeah.
Or I always like to pass that on because I feel like I didn't discover them, but like that's why I feel like I should just like it's just pollinate it.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like go like this isn't mine, but like you should like and also in the same vein that podcast gets a plug. It's Never Not Funny. It's a funny podcast. You should check it out. But the music, Fade Away by Suzanne Sunfor.
Perfect.
In particular, if you're ever in a funk, it should help pop you out of it. And get you ready for whatever. It's
I'm
like
checking it out, man. Yeah,
audio caffeine.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Audio caffeine.
Yeah,
well done, man. You are on fire today.
I can't help it, man.
Yeah,
it's the tea.
So mine's always has been, and it always will be. There are two songs, and specifically one that connects me because you were asking about like when you have a really good show, you know, and there are a few things that I find more enjoyable than playing a good set.
Yeah.
And I'm fortunate because like I'm in a band, and my bandmate and I'm fortunate enough to be with Joe Stetter because he never lets me down.
Yeah.
Like every time we play together is like I feel that way.
Yeah.
It's fucking awesome.
When you start getting that more consistency, it starts feeling better and better just to like
I knew it from the first time I heard it. The first time I heard him sing a song to me that he wrote, I was like, this is it. Like this guy's he's got his shit together.
Yeah.
But at any rate, but what song reminds me, like I listen to it and I think this is us is Radio by Rancid off of the album Let's Go.
Yeah.
You know? So that's that one. And then anytime that I'm in the dumps, okay. Let's see here. Maybe I should. I'm going to talk about the dumps.
Yeah. No, you don't have to. I'm saying like any of those. That's Rancid's always old Rancid. Like first 2 or 3 albums. Sure. Rancid for me at least is like perfect. Like because it's just like a lot of times there's no count in. There's no like it's just like it just like goes in like just like one snare hit and it's the beginning of the song. And if you've ever seen them live, like. Even now,
I have.
Of course. If you know of them, if you're a fan of theirs, you should have seen Rancid sometime
at some point.
They're still playing now.
I know they're still playing now, right?
In 2021, like right now.
Yeah.
He looks like the sea creature from fucking what's the Jack Sparrow movie? Pirates of the Caribbean.
You're thinking you're thinking of your blockbuster porno alternative pirates.
Got a bunch of dildos on.
They're just hanging. It's like dangling.
But you're not a punk rocker if you haven't seen Rancid live. But Nihilism is another good song by them. That's like fucking. That's perfect.
Fucking dildos hanging up his face.
Like a dream catcher of dildos. Oh man, that's good.
Keeping the dream alive.
Oh wait, yeah. So that's what's been on my turntable.
Okay, yeah.
So check out Suzanne Sunfor. Check that out. And how about we get into our next segment? Ask a Black Belt.
Yeah, let's do it. Never a disappointment.
Yeah, the D does not stand for disappointment.
It does not.
How much tap-out gear do you own? Be honest.
Yeah, the honest answer is 0.
Really?
And I'm going to tell you why, because it offends my sensibilities. As a graphic designer, I never liked the tap-out gear, even when it was popular, okay? And one of the things that I always enjoyed about being in the martial art realm, so we're going on 15 years of this shit, all right, is that, so I was like definitely started my martial art career when the tap-out gear was huge.
That's what I was gonna say. Like you had to have like an old training shirt, or like something that you would still have. Like
I had
nothing?
0, zilch,
okay.
and I'll tell you why. Because I absolutely despise like the blood and barbed wire type of theme
cheesy,
of fighting. Because to me, it was always a martial art.
Right.
It was always an art.
Right.
And I could never figure out why. Like, and I get it from a marketing perspective. You want to cater to a lot of people who fantasize about, getting into mass attack situations and they beat up everybody. You're just catering to that like 80s mindset where you can take out all the bad guys single-handedly, like fucking Rambo.
Right.
And that's what tap out does. So I mean, I respect what they're doing.
Yeah.
Because the majority of the people, there's a market for it. The majority of the people that wear that stuff, like the affliction and tap out gear and all that bullshit, can't fight to save their lives.
Right.
All right. And the other guys that wear it are actual fighters, and they're sponsored by it, so they're going to wear it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like, it's never been my jam. So Robert D, I own 0 pieces of tap out gear. It offends my sensibilities as a martial artist and as a graphic designer. More importantly, I thought the shit's poorly designed. It didn't speak to me in any way, shape, or form.
You know what? I will take whatever you got, Robert D, if you want to send any in. I'm a huge fan of Tap Out.
I love it.
Fucking pumps me up, dude.
I get pumped.
So another question we have here.
Sure.
This one I'm not sure exactly. You can answer it either way, but I'm not sure exactly if you're familiar with it.
Nobody tells me what to do.
My brother Nick asks,
okay.
how do you feel about the movie Afro Samurai with Sam Jackson?
I've never seen it.
That's what I figured. I don't think a lot of people. My brother watches literally any movie.
Okay, that's fine, and I respect that. I mean, if that's your jam, but I've never seen the movie, so I can't speak to it.
But so you don't have any feelings on it?
I have no feelings on it whatsoever.
As of right now, Nick, the answer is neutral.
I can say with certainty that I'm a Samuel L. Jackson fan.
Right.
I mean,
love
in terms
afros.
of and I love afros.
Right.
I do. I think they're fucking awesome.
Yeah, and Samurai.
And I'm only jealous that I can't grow an afro.
I'm a little jealous. I'm not Ben, and I don't live next to a samurai.
right.
That's bringing over all the swords and liquor.
I wish my neighbors would bring me swords and liquor. Instead, they just bring me used gorilla costumes.
All right, so how do you think you guys would have felt if your neighbor had come by and said, like, all right, well, here's the samurai. Here's a copy of Afro Samurai, some liquor, and some samurai swords.
Dude, my answer would be, fuck yeah.
Dude, do you want to live here?
Yeah.
You want to live in our basement?
We've got room.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah. Instead, like, they clearly brought me what was the remains of their dead dog.
Yeah.
in a plastic bag.
Here's Buster.
And said, it's a gorilla costume. And I'm like, okay.
Oh, my God. But it fits.
But it fits.
I was a little disappointed you didn't show up dressed in it.
I know.
Is it in the cooler?
It is not.
Kyle Cooler's back, by the way.
Kyle Cooler is back in full effect.
Smells great.
He smells great.
Everything's back.
Tastes even better.
Back now.
I know. I feel better now.
The week's back.
Dude, this shit-ass week is over.
See ya. We're into the weekend, brother.
I'm ready to party.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah, fuck yeah. All right, we'll see you old knuckleheads next week.